chapter 4 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And yesterday, as we discussed, must be remembering that the conclusion of the chapter 3 was that because of lust or because of our separate desires, because of our desire to enjoy separately from God, therefore, we are not able to follow sometimes God's instructions. So, as per Krishna's teachings in the third chapter, Arjuna understands now that that he should not look for renunciation in a premature way, and also renunciation simply to get away from responsibilities. No, rather one should renounce one's own plans, one's own desires, which are against the interest of the Lord. So here the interest of the Lord was that Arjuna should act on behalf of Krishna. And when Arjuna should fight the Dharma Yudh. And also that Krishna had told him that because it is your pravritti, it is your tendency to do action. Inaction is very unnatural for any living entity. It doesn't last for very long. So ultimately one would like to do some activity. So then why not act for the Lord? That is Lord's point essentially in the third chapter. So now moving on to the fourth chapter. So let us begin with the prayers to the Lord. Om Ajnantimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Tamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaur Tushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we'll just do a 2 minutes revision of the yesterday's 4 lessons. So you must be able to see on your screen. We had discussed the 4 lessons yesterday from the chapter 3. So lesson 1 was, we saw the acronym of tree. Lesson 1 was Tyaga, renunciation or work, which is better. Right? Should I just leave whatever is there in this world? It's all unnecessary, it's material, it's temporary. Or should I actually engage in some activity? as per my situation, my talents, my abilities, as per my nature. And so, what is the art of work? Should I work or should I renounce? Second, we had seen R, the rungs on the yoga ladder, which means you might remember like the karmis and then karma kandis and then karma yogis, specifically sakam karma yogis, then nishkam karma yogis, then jnana yoga, then ashtanga yoga, and then bhakti yoga. So you may recollect that how this, if you compare this world to a building, and your goal of life is to reach on the top of the building, which is to reach the spiritual world, attain the supreme Lord. Then there are different ways. You can go by different stairs, and you can go by different lifts. But ultimately, at some point or other, one will have to take shelter of the bhakti lift, which is the easiest, simplest, the sweetest, and that is the only one which goes up to the ultimate success. All the other yoga paths are also genuine, but they begin at a certain point of time, and they ultimately cover only up to a intermediate destination, not the complete destination. So they are useful because because the people of different nature, people from different backgrounds and different attitudes can exercise their options as per their nature. At the same time, ultimately, they will have to take the path of bhakti yoga. So Krishna is very merciful, very compassionate. Therefore, he has given so many options. And we had also discussed, you might recollect, that how bhakti yoga is the path which consists of all the elements of the other paths, which means it consists of meditation, which is there mainly in Ashtanga Yoga path. Then Bhakti Yoga consists of karma, activity, which is not there in Ashtanga Yoga, which is not there in Jnana Yoga, but it is there in Karma Yoga. So it consists of that. It consists of knowledge, which is mainly there in Jnana Yoga, but not there in the other yoga paths. So Bhakti Yoga consists of that also. So Bhakti Yoga has everything in its essence, in its simplicity, and together. So anybody and everybody can practice Bhakti Yoga very easily at any stage of life, and can surely achieve the ultimate perfection. Okay. So this is what we saw. And the third lesson, E, we saw exemplary karma yogis. We didn't discuss much upon this, but yes, that's what Krishna had told Arjuna, that you should also try to follow in the footsteps of those who have previously dedicated all their karma unto me. Of course, karma means not that karma. The word is same. Karma मतलब वो जो तो तुमको कर्म लगेगा वो वाला नहीं. This is karma means activity. Okay, so those who have dedicated all their activities to Krishna. So what is the art of work? That we should not give up work. Just like Krishna told Arjuna, do not give up activity. Do the activity as per your abilities, talents, as per your social situation. You don't have to leave your social position. But what you have to do, as per your nature, in whatever role in society or in family you are, or in whichever nation you are, in that situation, take guidance from some devotee of the Lord who can help us to offer our abilities, our work, and especially our fruit of work to the Supreme Lord Krishna. So that is exemplary karma yogis. And the fourth lesson was enemy of the soul. So what puts an obstacle, what makes our mind experience challenges in order to be steadily and with determination offer our seva to the Lord? The main challenge is lust. Lust means any desire which is against the interest of the Lord and which is not prescribed by the dharma, which means like if I desire to enjoy with a woman who is not my wife, then that is against the injunctions given in the Shastras, and therefore it is lust. Similarly, if I desire to earn money by gambling or by taking bribes or something like that, then that is also lust. Why is that lust? Because that is against the pure injunctions and principles given in the Shastras. Therefore, so like this, any desire which is either against the dharmic injunctions given in the Shastras, or which is against the interest of the Lord's mission. Like, for example, there was a Brahmana who was he was like, he wanted to speak only the truth every time. Yeah, that is a quality of a Brahmana. So he was doing meditation outside the forest once, outside the city once, in the forest. So one cow came running suddenly, he saw from the city, and then she entered into one particular direction in the jungle. And then soon, in 2 or 3 minutes, one butcher came with a knife in his hand. And then he wanted to look for the cow. He saw this Brahmana meditating. He asked, "Hey, Brahman Dev, where is the cow? Did you see one cow? She just came running here. Where did she go? Which direction?" Now, the Brahmana was thinking, what should I do? So he thought, okay, I'll not speak because I'm not supposed to speak lies. So I won't speak a lie. But then I don't want the cow to get killed. But then I have to like answer this guy also with truth. So he just pointed in that direction, okay, like indicating this is where she went. He didn't speak, but he indicated with his hands. So next life, as a result of the reaction to his karma, his hands were cut because he didn't understand the essence of the shastra. The essence of the shastras is that then any adharmic activity should not be done, and it is against the interest of the society and the Lord that a cow be killed unnecessarily simply for one meal of some people. So, but even if it would have spoken a lie to save the cow, he would have been rewarded with blessings by the Lord, because that was to fulfill the interest of the Lord. So anything we may have, which any desire which goes against the interest of the Lord, that is our lust, kama vasana. Like if somebody is getting two jobs, one is in a company, in a software company, let us say, and he's going to get like 50,000 rupees per month, and there is another job which is there in McDonald's, this food joint in USA, and they are giving him 1 lakh per month. Now he may take the McDonald's job because it is giving him more money, but he will get tremendous sin. Why? Because McDonald's people, they kill cows, right? For their own, simply they put cow meat in everything. So that 1 lakh rupees will be filled with lot of sinful reaction. So he can do he can fulfill his desire. There's this guy will come with a price tag because that's a wrong desire. On the other hand, that 50,000 rupees job, no sin comes from that. Of course, unless he does something like that in the job. So this is the idea, that any desire, any aspiration which is against the dharma given in the shastras, or which is against the interest of the Lord, that becomes enemy. That becomes our lust. So now we move to the 4th chapter for today. Yeah. Oh, this was there. I unnecessarily went for that. Yeah. So now in this 4th chapter, we will see the breakdown. So there are 5 sections in the 4th chapter. Section first, which is verse number 1 to 10, that is about transcendental knowledge about Krishna. Section 2, that is 11 to 15 verses, applying transcendental knowledge. Okay, once you get the transcendental knowledge about Krishna, and then what is the application of it in our life. Section 3rd, that is verse number 16 to 24, that is understanding karma on the platform of jnana. So through jnana, looking at the principle of karma. Then section 4th, which is verse number 25th to 33rd, is sacrifices leading to transcendental knowledge. Of course, this sacrifice is not balidan or not tyag. This sacrifices is any effort to please the Lord. Okay, so like one may do kirtan or one may do yagya or any of these. Sacrifice means an activity done specifically to please Krishna. Okay, And section 5th is conclusion of the chapter 4, which is transcendental knowledge, jnana, divya jnana. So there is a prayer called Guru Vandana, and in that prayer, some of the lines that go like this, you know. चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्म जन्म प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाशा जाते वेद गाए हर चरितो. So this stanza, particularly these 4 lines, what do they say? They say that what is the spiritual master and the Shastras, what do they do to us? चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्म जन्म प्रभु से. Chakshudan, dana means charity, chakshu means eyes or vision. So what do the Shastras or the spiritual master do? They offer charity or gift to us of what? Of eyes. We say we already have eyes. Yeah, we do have eyes, but they are material eyes. So through these eyes, what we see is that people are their bodies. We see ourselves also as body and others also as bodies. But when the spiritual master of the Shastras give us Divya Gyan, okay, so when they give us Divya Gyan, we get Divya Chakshu also, which means then with the eyes of the Shastras, when we look around, we are able to see differently. So real Jnana means not just knowing some verses or knowing some formulas or getting degrees of this world. No. Real Jnana means seeing, being able to see everything and every person or every living entity and every situation in the spiritual perspective. Okay, I'll again repeat. Real knowledge means to be able to see everything, which means every matter, you know, then every living entity like animals, birds, and human beings, everyone, and third, every situation, every interaction from a spiritual perspective, which means wearing the glasses called Shastra Chakshu. जैसे आप अगर रेड चश्मा पहन लोगे तो आपको हर तरफ क्या दिखेगा? रेड ही रेड दिखेगा, करेक्ट? तो ऐसे अलग अलग चश्मे हम पहनते रहते हैं. When we wear the spectacles of selfishness and arrogance and ego in this world, then what we see in others is also ego and selfishness. Okay. Therefore, it is said that the world is nothing but a mirror of one's own. The world is nothing but a reflection of one's own consciousness. Which means, if I am lusty, I'll find many people are lusty, and I'll find lust all around. It's like seek and you shall get it. You know? Whatever we look for, we get that around. So a spiritualist means he is looking for Krishna. He is looking for the spiritual insight, and therefore he gets. You know. So now with our these eyes, when we look at a girl, what we see is that she's her body and she's meant for our enjoyment and this and that, right? But when you see through the eyes of Shastras, you know, Shastra Chakshu, Jnana Chakshu. So you acquired the knowledge, the Divya Gyan from the Shastras. And then when you look through that, which means your consciousness is there. You have the same eye, but the consciousness is different now. So when you look now, what will happen is, you look at, oh, this girl is not her body. She's also spirit soul like me. And she's eternal. You know. And her body is not to be loved, but her spirit is to be loved. Her qualities are to be loved. And she is meant not for my pleasure, but for the pleasure of Krishna. So we should team up. I may marry her, and she and me and our kids may be together. But then we will exist and will act for the pleasure of Krishna. Will belong to Krishna, like that. So the vision to the world changes. When you look at a mango tree and then you look at the ripe mangoes. So when we do not have the Shastric vision, the Divya Gyan, when we do not have, when we are not associated with our spiritual master and with the Shastras, so then what do we see? We see, oh, this mango is so ripe, it must be so juicy, it must be so tasty. Let me enjoy it, you know, like that. But when you have got Shastra Chakshu, then what do you think? Oh, Lord's creation is amazing. Look at the creation. There is this sand and soil everywhere, and in that soil you put different seeds. You put mango seed, you put guava seed, you put flowers, you put bhindi and lauki and other sabjis, you put rice and basmati rice and mota rice and patla rice and you put different types of dals, and with the same sunlight, the same bhumi, the same sunlight and same water, but based on the seeds, different plants are coming out, different trees are coming out, and then different varieties of vegetables and fruits and grains and dals and cereals, and it's so amazing. And look at this mango, it's so juicy and beautiful. It must be very tasty. So let me offer it to Krishna, and then let me take the prasad. So the entire idea is we are able to see the connection of those things with the Supreme Lord. Similarly, something happens in our life. Like I remember when I was in 2004, when I wrote my IIT JEE exam, and in those days we had this AIEEE exam. So I wrote both the exams, and I was like very confident that I'll get to go to IIT Bombay. I had a good rank in my coaching institute, which was Resonance at Kota. I was supposed to be getting like 3-digit rank at least, and I don't know what happened, but it happened. And then I got in those days we had very less seats in IIT, and I got this one of the last seats, 4207 in IIT Guwahati. I was getting very low branch, civil or something. It's not low, but then I thought that time, who wants to go there? And so I was like, I was just not happy at all. What has happened in my life? I was cursing God also. I was cursing life also. I was really like, but then anyway, then AEEE I got some good rank, 355. So then I was getting kind of any college and kind of any branch. So then I went to NIT Surathkal, and because I heard that there is a beach and the atmosphere is very nice and this and that. So I thought, let us enjoy. And then I went there and I was really not happy at the first 2 weeks when I was there. And then I was really wondering what is this place, and the food was not good, because South India they're trying to make something like chapati, but oh my God, I was really frustrated. And then what happened? While this few weeks or 2 months or so, while I was really thinking that something so much bad has happened to me, why this happened to me? I was a good boy, this, that, so many things I was thinking. Then I remember on August 11, 2004. So I had gone to college on 24 July, something, 25th July or something. And then I was there in the college, and this program came on August 11th. I saw the poster on 10th, and there was this program on 11th in our SJ Silver Jubilee Auditorium. And this was on Bhagavad Gita, and one saintly person was giving that. Gaur Sundar Das, his name was, this devotee. And I was amazed actually. And then I started attending. The next 15 days, I attended this course on the Gita. Every day evening we had like 7 o'clock to 8:30, 6:30 to 8:30 we had. And that was on the second floor of our main administrative building. It was. I just remember everything about it. I was amazed actually. I was amazed. So after I got that transcendental knowledge, and then I turned to spiritual life, started practicing it. And the more I practiced it, I gave up the activities or my habits which were not favorable as per the Shastras. You know, like anything we eat which is not recommended in the Shastras, give it up or whatever like this. So hardly ever there was anything to change, but then I changed, and most especially my consciousness got changed, and I was so happy person, and I started sharing the knowledge also with others. I started rendering services to devotees. And then I remember like in that one semester itself, I felt like, and I'm so fortunate. I remember in October, like August, September, October, just in 3 months, then we went for a big camp, a big event in Bombay, like spiritual event. and my life totally changed actually. I was just amazed. And then I got a totally new perspective. In January, I was crying. I was bitterly crying after after having some wonderful time with devotees. I was bitterly crying in happiness. Why? And crying also in regret. You know why? Because I was thinking that Krishna is so merciful. In my life, if he would have sent me to IIT Bombay or IIT Delhi or somewhere, I would never have come to spiritual life. I would never have, uh, you know, uh, uh, like invested much of time energy into learning this science of Bhagavad Gita, because then the success would have gone in my head, and I would have just tried to simply enjoy life in this world. But now what happened? I supposedly failed, and I came to a college where that was not my first choice. But the same situation, which for few months I considered as my failure, I considered as a curse upon me given by God. The same situation now, when I looked through better glasses, when I looked from the point of view of what I would have been had I got my desire fulfilled, and what I am now because I got this from the Lord. So based on that analysis, now the same old situation which I had to face, which I thought was a curse, I now consider that as the greatest blessing in my life. And I thanked my Lord that Krishna, thank you so much. So you see, transcendental knowledge means one is able to see spiritual connection with a situation also, or with a thing, as we discussed about the mango, or with the person, as we discussed about the girl, or say you are a husband and wife and you have some kids. So how does the husband see the family members? The husband sees the family. First of all, this my wife, she's not her body. She's also a spirit soul. Mamaivaamsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Manashashani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. So she's not my property, and she's not my servant. Okay. She's Krishna's servant. She's Krishna's property. I am also Krishna's servant. So what both of us should do, and the goal of life is not just to enjoy. You know, the goal of life is actually to be a team together, to collaborate together, and to practice spiritual dharma in our life. And when we have kids, so those kids we should actually raise them to be devotees of God, raise them to very faithfully as per the uh, Vedic customs, as per the Vedic culture, and teach them the right knowledge at the right time. Keep them away from sinful activities. Teach them the knowledge of this world also. Make them the best. Make them like many Arjunas, many Draupadis. You know? So the whole idea is you have wife, you have a job, you have money, you have property, you have kids, but then your conception of who they are, whom do they belong to, and what should be the goal of life, that conception is different now. Priorities are different. Okay. So this is what transcendental knowledge does. It is supposed to transform our vision. Transcendental knowledge will not transform our world around us. भाई आपने spiritual life practice चालू करी है, इसका ये मतलब नहीं कि you begin expecting that no challenges will come in my life, my body will not get old, I will not die, nothing like that, sir. Everything is going to happen because this world's nature will not change. What can change is our reaction to it, our response to it, our vision towards it, our attitude towards it, and thus what we attain from it. This is what is going to change. Transcendental knowledge will help us to wear shoes in this world which is filled with thorns. Spiritual life does not remove thorns from the path for us. In this life, it will not remove thorns. Like you see Arjuna. Arjuna heard Bhagavad Gita. That doesn't mean that Duryodhan and the entire army was छू मंतर चला गया अभी. कृष्णा बोले तुमने मेरा गीता सुना इसलिए मैंने तुम्हारी प्रार्थना सुनी और सबको गायब कर दिया. ऐसा नहीं है. ऐसा नहीं होगा. आपके सामने अभी भी वही चैलेंजेस आएंगे लाइफ में. But the this this guy Arjuna, who was feeling fearful and confused while facing this entire big army, and he was not able to understand that should he have the determination to fight or should he have the determination to run away? What should be the priority? He was not confident. He didn't know who can guide him. He didn't know how to face Bhishma, who was much more, who had much more valor in the battle than him. So, what Krishna gave him through the knowledge of the Gita is the ability to face these things in the right way, is the ability to go through that. So, in general, we just go through life, but the knowledge of the Gita helps us to grow through life, not just pass time here, but to hear Lord's pastimes. So that is what Gita does actually. Just like the same food an ordinary person eats, and the same food a devotee eats, a spiritualist eats, but there is a difference. Internally, the food which devotee eats, that has been offered to the Lord, so it contains the blessings of the Lord. So externally, it may be appearing to be similar, but there is a big difference. Okay, I hope it makes sense. So this is the essence of the fourth chapter. Now we'll also see a little bit more in detail, but the essence of the fourth chapter was that transcendental knowledge means our vision becomes spiritualized, our consciousness becomes spiritualized, and thus our response becomes spiritualized, our attitude, our priorities, our decisions become spiritualized. Okay, so knowledge, when we say transcendental knowledge, it's basically about two things. One is about the material world, another is about the spiritual world. Or one is that this material world and this material life and material relationships, these are temporary and these are never going to satisfy us. History has it, the legend has it that nobody till now, even you take Alexander or you take anyone for that matter, nobody in the history of the entire creation, entire universe till now has become successful, in exploiting this world or in becoming satisfied with this world or in staying in this world for long. Nobody, right? So in the two parts of knowledge, one part is that what is the nature of this world, what is the nature of my life in this world. So one can learn from the Shastra and one can also do analysis. And the second part of knowledge is that what is my real goal of life, what is my real identity, what is the destination of life. Okay, who is God, who am I. Okay. This is called transcendental knowledge. The other one, that is called knowledge of this world, which means like what are the real problems of life. Real problem of life is आज internet बहुत slow हो गया है. No, that is not a real problem. Real problem of life is ये स्विगी वाला लेट हो गया है. That is not real problem. Real problem of life is my credit card limit is over. No, that is not real problem. These are not real problem. Real problem of life is कि मैं इस लड़की को पटा नहीं पा रहा हूँ. Absolutely not a problem. The real problem of life is birth, old age, disease, and death. Why are they the real problems of life? Because you can't avoid it, and everybody faces it, and nobody wants it. We do not want it, yet we have to face it. And that will come. It's not being pessimistic, it's being realistic. Disease will come, death will come, old age will come. How are we going to face it? So to understand what are the real problems of life and what are not so important challenges in life, so we may be also working on them, but then that's not the main point. And the solution part we get in the spiritual part of the knowledge. So this is the essence of the chapter number 4, and let us now go inside and have a look at it. Okay. So chapter 4 mein, again, to learn 4 lessons, we have this time the acronym called years. Okay. So it's easy for you to remember in this way, right? In the last chapter, we had the acronym tree. Okay. Now here we have years. So what does this mean? E means eternal education. Eternal education. The first 10 verses. So let us go ahead. A means accurate understanding, like verses 11 to 15. Accurate understanding, having the right gyan. Third is our removing reactions, getting liberated, getting mukta. This is verses number 16 to 24. And then the last part, 25 to 42, that is S. S means sacrifice. Sacrifice means, as we discussed, it's not balidan or tyag. It's more like, okay, what am I willing to offer to Krishna for his pleasure? So any activity or anything or whatever. Okay, let us see. So lesson 1, years E, eternal education, verse number 1 to 10. So in the first two verses of the fourth chapter, Krishna talks about the lineage of transcendental knowledge, parampara. The saintly kings understood this imperishable science of Jnana Yoga through the chain of disciplic succession, parampara, originating from me, Lord Krishna. जैसे आपने देखा होगा कभी कभी फैमिली में नहीं बोलते बेटा ये तुम्हारे ये आज तुम्हारी शादी हुई है, ये जो हार है हम तुम्हारी पत्नी को देंगे, अपनी बहू को। क्यों? यही हार हमको हमारी सास ने दिया था, उनको उनकी सास ने दिया था, लाइक दैट। ओके, सो दे से दैट ये दिस इज वेरी precious and this has been handed over since generations after generations in our family, and now she's the new bahu, I must hand it over to her, like that. You would have heard same thing actually, that, or like for example, uh, how do you get to know about knowledge of a particular thing? So you hear from a person who knows about it, right? Like for example, you may not know about a particular gadget, so, or about a particular college, I think college example will be more appropriate to take. So you write your engineering or medical entrance examination, then you go for the counseling after you get your rank, and then you're not sure whether I should take this branch, this field, this college. So then what do? You try to go to the website of the college, you try to inquire and whatever, but ultimately you look for having the opinion of somebody who knows this college very nicely, someone whom you know that he's my well-wisher, and someone who knows that college or that field or those branches, and then he gives you consultation. That's it, right? You take it. So you might have visited some colleges, but then which college you choose is based on the advice of a known authoritative person, right? Similarly, आप लड़की या लड़का देखने जाते हो अपनी बेटी के लिए, अपने बहन के लिए, या जिसके लिए भी, तो लड़के से भी बात करते हो, राइट? उसका रेज्यूमे, उसका सीवी वगैरह भी पढ़ते हो, उसके घर वालों से भी मिलते हो, सब कुछ हो जाता है। आप उसके सर्टिफिकेट्स वगैरह भी देखते हो, सब कुछ हो जाता है, उस पर ऑब्जर्वेशन भी करते हो, लेकिन फिर भी पूरा कंफर्मेशन नहीं हो पाता है कि इज दिस बॉय राइट। देन व्हाट हैपेंस, यू मेक सम कॉल्स, अरे आप थोड़ा पता लगाइए आपके शहर में उस परिवार के बारे में, ये लड़का है, फिर वो किसी को लगता है, ऐसे ऐसे कुछ आप एक नेटवर्क बिठाते हो, ट्रस्टवर्दी नेटवर्क, है ना? And then some guy is there finally, so he gives the report to the person who contacted him, that person gives to the person who contacted him, like this it comes, and then the person whom you trust, so now he's there and he says, अरे वो फैमिली के बारे में पता किया, एकदम बिंदास आगे बढ़ो, एकदम बहुत अच्छी फैमिली है, कल्चर्ड है, और लड़का एकदम हीरा है, हीरा, ऐसा लड़का आपको मिलेगा नहीं, आप बिल्कुल। Then you become like, oh, now I am because this person has said he did the research and he's our well wisher, इनका शब्द मतलब सही होता है, ऐसे करके, like, so you see, you met the guy, you did your research and all, but finally you look for hearing from a person who's an authority. Similarly, you may be studying in a college, you may have so many of the textbooks and Google search this and that, but ultimately you look for, okay, what does the professor say? So the entire idea is try to understand that transcendental knowledge is received in the disciplic succession, like you see here in the left picture. So Krishna has given the knowledge to Brahma originally, Brahma ji to Narada, Narada to Vyasa, so the whole chain is there like this. So this just represents few people in the chain, but actually there is a whole chain, so they are all acharyas. तो भाई मैं किसी का डिसाइपल हूँ, उससे मुझे समझने को मिला, उनकी ब्लेसिंग मिली, फिर मैंने उसको किसी को दिया जो मेरा स्टूडेंट है, फिर वो किसी को दे रहा है, और ऐसे करते करते आगे जाएगा, जैसे हम तक ये नॉलेज पहुंचा। But what we have is as it is. जो कृष्ण ने दिया है, it is knowledge. हाँ, आपको पता है मैंगो होते हैं गाँव वगैरह में, तो पर्सन नहीं तोड़ता जनरली, जो प्रोफेशनल मैंगो तो 3-4 लोग रहते हैं, वो ऊपर चढ़ते हैं, मैंगो नहीं है, तो उस वजह से सेकंड बंदे ने लिया ऊपर से, नीचे तक जब तक टोप पहुंचता है वो 4 लोग एकदम कुछ प्रॉब्लम, कुछ the mango get affected, get broken, handed down. Similar knowledge, the spiritual knowledge, it has to be received section. Okay. So that I originally gave, it was fun, sun, God, and Manu, the whole line. So this verse, second verse, evam parampara praptam rajarayo vidu sahinama yogonishtam evam parampara. So this is our great good fortune we got Prabhupada and his followers. So therefore you see anything you learn, they are scriptures. So with the scriptures, what absolute nothing. Therefore, never changed in the last 5,000 years. Any field you take, for that matter, Vedas have knowledge about the to diet one. Vedas have been talking about organic farming. Can be the source of all knowledge, and then he gives first time to somebody, then he gives to somebody who is his student, and then it goes on. So like this there are 4 sampradayas, and main acharyas in these sampradayas that is given below: Damanavacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, and Marga Swami. Okay, so we are in which sampradaya? Because see, anybody who says that he has spiritual knowledge or spiritual life should be coming in an authentic sampradaya. Just like when we say that this person has BTech degree or MBA degree or MBBS degree, so it should be from a authorized college, right? Similarly, these are the 4, and these are the only 4 authorized paramparas. So we are in the second parampara, which is Brahmaji's parampara. Okay, and the Madhvacharya is then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So our teachings are authoritative, pure, and safe to accept because they're based on the works of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, coming in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Now, if you see verse number 1 to 4, so it is given in the 3rd and 4th verse. भक्तो सीमे सखा चेती रहस्यम ही तद उत्तमम, कि भगवान के नॉलेज को कौन, जो भगवान ने ज्ञान दिया है गीता में या शास्त्रों में, उसको कौन समझ सकता है? भक्तो सीमे सखा चेती, जो भगवान का डिवोटी है, फ्रेंड है, और जो भगवान से ईर्ष्या नहीं करता है. Who can understand the message of the scriptures, especially the message of the Gita? One who has love for the Lord, one who is like Lord's friend, one who is a devotee of the Lord, and who doesn't envy the Lord. You see, जैसे हम बचपन में सीक्रेट्स नहीं बताते हैं अपने फ्रेंड्स वगैरह को, hey my dear friend, come, I want to tell you one secret about my life. Or anytime, even after growing up also, you tell your most important things to someone. Who will be that someone? Hey, ये मुझसे, he is my well wisher. He will not do backbiting behind my back. he will not release my secret to others. Basically, he's not envious of me. He's like a friend to me, and he loves me, and he wants to see me successful. Similarly, Krishna will reveal in our heart the knowledge of the Gita only when we have some affection for him, we have faith in him, and we want to become his devotee. So now Arjuna may ask a question that atheistic people consider Krishna an ordinary man and may not believe that he instructed the sun god. So Krishna said, okay, I want to authoritatively establish the truth myself. Okay. So there are many people who do not accept the Bhagavad Gita as it is. They say they have their own interpretations of the Gita, but then that is not right, because Krishna came and Krishna himself told, accept the knowledge in parampara. Why you have to speculate? So what is the knowledge which Krishna gives ahead? Okay, see the 5th and 6th verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bahuni me Vyatitani Janmani Tavacha Arjuna Tanyaham Veda Sarvani Na Tvam Vedha Parantapa. Krishna first of all gives knowledge about himself. That, oh Arjuna, my death and my birth, they are not like yours, which means they are not material. And another thing he says, uniqueness of my appearance. Sambhavami Atma Maya, which means जैसे हम लोग का जो बर्थ होता है, हम लोग थोड़ा ना डिसाइड करते हैं कौन सी फैमिली में किस जगह किस तरह का बॉडी होगा, कैसे हाइट होगा, कैसा दूसरी चीजें होंगी. वी आर लाइक कंट्रोल्ड, and person like, of course not person like Krishna himself, who is Supreme Lord, he is not controlled, he is the controller. So he can do anything by his desire. Okay, but then we are not exactly free like that. Another thing Krishna explains is about comparison between about spiritual beauty and material beauty. You see this second hand side, this right hand side, you're able to see one carpet kind of thing, right? But actually, if this person would not have removed the carpet, this much, so we would be actually feeling that it's a tile or it's a marble. Nowadays, you must have seen also some tiles come which look like exactly like wood. So, but original is original, right? So this is the actual floor. That is simply putting some carpet and making it look like that. So spiritual beauty is the real beauty, and material beauty is the unreal beauty. You see, we might feel that, oh, this girl is so beautiful, this that, but then when she sleeps and next day morning she gets up, again her body is also very dirty. You can easily see that, or at least you can see after some time, when few years pass, the reality will come out. And another thing is, let us say somebody is very beautiful and you approach that person and you want to talk to that person, or do whatever. So then suppose that person suddenly dies. If that person dies, his body or his or her body would be there right in front of your eyes. But can we enjoy that beauty any longer in that body? No, we'll run away. So we can clearly see that the real beauty is in the soul, is in the spiritual identity of the person. So just like real currency and fake currency, real mango and fake mango. So there are all these things available in the market. Similarly, in this world, whatever beauty we see, that is not real, that is unreal. And the spiritual beauty is real, like Lord's beauty. Yeah. So Lord's beauty never gets deteriorated also. But our so-called beauty, oh my God. So now verses number 5 to 10, the divine nature of Krishna's appearance. So Krishna starts telling, these are three famous verses you would have heard. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam dharmasya tada atmanam sridhamyaham. So Krishna is telling here that when do I come? Whenever there is a rise in adharma and there is a decline in dharma, that is the time I descend myself. Like you see Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada came at a point when so much adharma was going on everywhere. And then Srila Prabhupada gave Krishna's teachings, and now so much dharma is going on. So जब भी अधर्म इस धरती पर आता है बुरी तरह से, तब कृष्णा भी आ जाते हैं. Because Krishna knows who else will be able to help. Then Krishna says the next verse, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So here Krishna is telling that when I come, what do? I do two things. I destroy the demons who are against my devotees, and I protect the devotees. I reciprocate with them. And he also says, he don't think I am like you. Oh Arjuna, I am not like you. Janma karma च मे दिव्यम एवं यो वेत्ति तत्वतः. भाई मेरा तो जन्म है और कर्म है दोनों दिव्य है. जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम. And he says that if you also understand this, that I am spiritual and you are my part and parcel, you are expected to serve me. When you understand this and engage in my loving devotional service, then you will also come back to me. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti swarjuna. Okay. So that is the result of properly knowing Krishna's appearance. If you properly know Krishna's appearance, we'll definitely chant his holy name even at the last day in our life, at the last moment also. And then we'll get liberated. We'll go to the spiritual world. Okay. So these are like some of the pastimes of the Lord. The Lord does as a small child, Gopal. So if you want to know Krishna in truth, then we have to give up Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. Raga means attachment. It may be attachment to some wrong things in this world. So we don't have to give up the spirit of attachment, but we have to give up the wrong attachment. It's like saying we don't have to give up our food. We have to give up food which is not good for us. Okay, like that. And another thing is we have to give up bhaya. Bhaya means like one may not openly or very confidently practice spiritual life. So Krishna says one should give up bhaya if one wants to practice spiritual life. And third is krodha. Krodha means like sometimes we become frustrated, right? That why things are not working out, this, that. So then when we become angry like this for no good reason, then it also comes at a cost. So because we are not able to focus on spiritual life. So therefore, to know Krishna in truth, one has to give up these things. So raga will include all types of lust, greed, and everything. Okay. So that was the first lesson. What is the first lesson? Again, doing revision. Remember what we began with? I'll show you here. E means eternal education. That was the first lesson. Now we are moving on to the second one. A means accurate understanding. Okay. So what is the meaning of accurate understanding? Okay, let us see. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So Krishna's dedicated devotees consider his birth and activities to be divine and eternal, but others who approach him with different goals do not consider so. So do all paths not lead to the same goal? No, not exactly. Krishna reciprocates with the worshipper's mood. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajami. So here Krishna is telling that the way people approach me, that way I reward them. जैसे कोई भगवान को केवल somebody is approaching Krishna only half-heartedly. So Krishna also reciprocates half-heartedly. Somebody approaches Krishna wholeheartedly. So Krishna also reciprocates wholeheartedly. Like once Srila Prabhupada was giving off grains to the pigeons. आपने देखा होगा कभी कभी वो जो सुबह सुबह वॉक पे जाते हैं वो कबूतर वगैरह को दाने डालते हैं कुछ जगहों पे. तो एक जगह थी जहाँ पे बॉम्बे में जहाँ प्रभुपाद दाने डालते थे सुबह सुबह. So one time one disciple noticed and he asked the question that Srila Prabhupada, I saw that you gave a lot of grains to one particular bird. You were giving a lot of grains in his direction, and to others you were giving less. So why like that? Prabhupada said, "Oh, that is not partiality. I gave all of them a chance, and then this particular pigeon was crying for more. He was really crying for more. He was very eager, very enthusiastic. So I gave him more." Similarly, what Krishna does? Krishna says, "Okay, तुम मुझे अप्रोच करना चाहते हो, you want to approach me with a dilute path, so I'll give you option. And you want to approach me with a concentrated path, you want to attain success intensely, you're desperately looking for it, I'll give you that path." That is the meaning of this. So why is there worship of so many gods? Because Krishna says that the other god, the demigods and all, they're not exactly Bhagwan, but they are Devata. So Krishna is telling that these other Devata, these demigods, they give immediate benefit. Like I remember whenever I would go to a shopkeeper in my childhood and ask for some chocolate, he would immediately give. But if I ask my father, he would not give immediately. Sometimes he would give, but hardly. He would see what is good for me at that time. That only he will do. Similarly, when we approach God, God will do what is best for us at that time. But when we approach demigods, some of them might give early results. But first thing there will be material results. Material results they will give. No demigod can give you spiritual blessing. They can only give you something material. Sukha sampati ghar aave, kashta mite tan ka, like that. But Krishna can give us eternal spiritual blessing. That is the most important thing. Okay. So is caste system not exploitative? No, because Krishna created the four varnas based on qualities and words. Why is Krishna speaking these words? Krishna is speaking these words to impress upon Arjuna that he is a Kshatriya, so he should fight. Chaturvarne maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasha tasya kartaram api mam viddhi kartaram ambhyam. You can see in this verse that Krishna says, मैंने वर्णाश्रम सोसाइटी बनाई है और चार वर्ण बनाए, आश्रम बनाए, है ना? वो किस पर आधारित है? गुण और कर्म पर, जन्म पर नहीं आधारित. भाई, what activities you do and what qualities you exhibit, based on that you are known, based on that your future destination is, not based on the birth. मैं डॉक्टर का बेटा हूँ तो मैं डॉक्टर हूँ, ऐसा थोड़ा ना होता है. It doesn't work like that. You have to learn, you have to gain the qualification like that. Okay. So then the third lesson, third lesson is removing reactions, 16 to 24. How do we remove the reaction? This is very interesting. So the intricacies of karma are difficult to understand. First thing is Krishna says that. Krishna says gahana karmano gati. भैया अगर तुम ये सोचोगे आज मेरा पैर एक चींटी पे पड़ गया, अब मेरे लाइफ में क्या होगा इसके कारण, और आज जो है मैंने एक 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 गाय को रोटी डाली है, अब मेरे जीवन में उससे क्या होगा, आज मैंने एक गरीब की मदद करी है और आज मैंने झूठ भी बोला है, अब मेरे जीवन में क्या होगा. तो कह नहीं सकते ऐसा कि इस चीज के कारण एग्जैक्टली ये हुआ है या एग्जैक्टली इस चीज के कारण ये हुआ है. ये इतना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है द होल, बिकॉज हम कितना ही कर्मा करते रहते हैं, अच्छा कर्मा बुरा कर्मा, हम रोज बहुत कुछ करते रहते हैं अपने लाइफ में. Therefore, it is very difficult to exactly map x1 to y1, x2 to y2. Very difficult to exactly map. Then, how do we understand? We should understand in principle and then apply in our life. What is the principle? It's very easy. What is a very easy thing? Yeah. See here. Working on one's own account and working on God's account. So ये हमने कल भी थोड़ा सा इसके बारे में देखा था कि एक कैशियर अगर बैंक के बिहाफ पे, गवर्नमेंट के बिहाफ पे कर रहा है, जितना ज्यादा करेगा उतना उसको कोई अवार्ड वगैरह भी मिल सकता है एक्स्ट्रा. बट if he steals little bit also from that money, then he's going to be arrested. So we should work always on Krishna's account. जैसे अर्जुना किसके कहने पे युद्ध लड़ रहे थे? कृष्ण के कहने पे. जैसे छोटा बच्चा नहीं होता है, माँ बाप उससे बोलते हैं बेटा तुमको जो भी चाहिए, कभी तुमको चॉकलेट भी चाहिए जो हमने तुमको मना कर रखा है, चाहिए तो तुम हमसे मांगो, है ना. पेरेंट्स से you approach us. Similarly, Krishna says, okay, you have some desire, you ask me, or I mean, you ask my devotees, and we will tell you, okay, use your desire, use your ability, no problem. Or you do what we are telling you to do. Best is what Krishna tells us to do, we should do that. And second best is, okay, what I want to do, I'll ask Krishna. He says yes, I'll go ahead. So the idea is that one should work, one should act only on God's account. If we do not act on God's account, we will be punished. जैसे वही एग्जांपल आपको दिया था ना, कारगिल पे वो बंदूक चला रहा है, कारगिल में बंदूक चला रहा है एनिमी पर, तो इंडिया में उसको अवार्ड मिल रहा है. वो वापस घर आके पड़ोसी भी बंदूक चलाएगा खुद ही के लिए, तो उसको जेल मिल जाएगी. करेक्ट? ऐसा. So we should be like Arjuna, fighting on behalf of Krishna. We should not be like Duryodhana. So what is the science of karma? Karma means, see, karma determines the consequences. Sorry, karma determines our destiny. Where we are going to go. In what way? Destiny determines the consequences of our actions, not our actions themselves. मतलब क्या है कि जैसे हर समय हमारे लाइफ में चॉइस होती है. मैंने एक बार एक लड़के को पूछा था कि भाई आप ये सिगरेट क्यों पी रहे हो, आपको नहीं पीनी चाहिए, अच्छा नहीं है आपके लिए. तो वो बोला, अरे सिगरेट तो मैं भगवान भगवान इसके लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल है, उनके कारण पी रहा हूँ. मैंने, अरे वो कैसे? बोले, अरे भगवान को अगर रोकना हो तो रोक लेते मुझे. मैंने कहा देखो ऐसा नहीं है, you made a choice. He said, why is God giving me a choice? I said, if God doesn't give you a choice, then how is he a loving father? So Krishna will give us 2 choices or 3 choices or 4 choices, and then it'll always be up to us to choose. Okay, I take option number 1 or option 2 or option 3 or option 4. So what is fixed is that if I go for option 1, then I'll get the result 1. If I go for option 2, I'll get result 2. If I go for option 3, I'll get result 3. This is fixed. So y1 against x1 is fixed. Y2 against x2 is fixed. Y3 against x3 is fixed. But should I choose x1, x2 or x3? That is not fixed. That is in my hand. God will never tell us make this choice. जैसे अभी हम लोग यहाँ पे सब अटेंड कर रहे हैं ये वेबिनार और whatever ये. Now, is this choice ours or God's? This is our choice. Okay, God gives us options. God gives us facilities. He doesn't choose it for us. So after our choice, what will happen? That is given by God. So one question is there. In that case, why has birth-based caste system become the way of life in our country? Very good question, Ashwini. So yeah, it's a big unfortunate situation that in India, the entire understanding of caste system is the one based on the birth, and most of the people that's what they think. But actually, that is because of mostly because of the doings of the Britishers. So when the East India Company came in 19th century, like 2 centuries back, so this East India Company first studied the entire framework of Indian society and the Indian education system, and then they concluded that if we have to get into the nerve of this country, then what we have to do is we have to change their very DNA itself. How to change the DNA? That we have to teach. See, education system is the main root of everything in any society or any country. Like now, Modi government is trying to change the education system, which is a very good step, very good initiative. Because you transform education, and you will see that your generations will be transformed, your GDP will be transformed, your entire society will be transformed. So India's education system was really so outdated, and it has been so much filled with inconsistencies, incongruencies, and things which are not truth. So in our social science subjects, in our 8th, 9th standard, we were taught that this caste system, dowry system, child marriage, parda system, so many, and they're all taught in a negative way. So these things were put in our education system by Britishers. What they did, they said to the Indians You want to teach your culture to your children? Let us do that, and let us convert your teachings and your culture in English. So we'll do the translation and we'll teach your next generation so that they know English also and your culture also. Indians were simple hearted, they believed upon them, they trusted them. And then what these guys did, they broke the backbone of this nation. So when Mughals also attacked, they attacked the education system first in India, Nalanda and Takshila, burnt it down completely. Why? You hit where it hurts the most. So the younger generation, if you have to change their mind, then you should stop them from getting the right education. That's the so this is what these people did. They brought in the caste system and many other isms and all, so that Indians who were like more than 25 times the number of Britishers, and India was much more richer than Britain. You know, actually, before the Mughals and all attacked, India was having 75% of the wealth of the entire planet. Then Mughals attacked. They took from 75%, India became 25%. That much they took. Then East India Company attacked amongst all different colonies who tried. So when Britishers came, India was having 25% of the world's wealth. And when Britishers left in 1947, they left India at 2%. India was now having only 2%. Usme bhi then they did Batwara. So, but now India has grown ahead a little bit. But the entire idea is this whole thing started with breaking the backbone. अगर आपको किसी बड़े आदमी को भी हराना है, उसका backbone पे आप उसको मारोगे तो like he cannot, then the whole body becomes unable to do anything. Similarly, these people attack the backbone of the nation, which is the uh, the interpersonal, like how the communal harmony is there. What is the basis of people's life? The whole education system they changed, and what they did, they polluted the entire conceptions. So the Indians thought, okay, they are teaching our parda system, they are teaching our dowry system, they're teaching this that, but they taught in a negative way. These are all very very glorious concepts, and they were not applied in a wrong way, sati system or this or so. Some future seminar will discuss about all these things, that what was the right conception, what was the right practice of all these things. But believe me, they were very glorious. When you will hear about them, you will immediately you will feel that we should have those systems even today in the right way. But then, you know, people, we have to bring a global change by the right education. That's the idea. So the caste system was clearly based, as we saw the verse also in the fourth chapter. The caste system was clearly based on guna and karma. Guna karma vibhagasha. Vibhagasha matlab divisions. So divisions were based on guna and karma, never on birth, never on janma. There is absolutely no mention anywhere in any Vedic scripture that based on the birth. In fact, what is given in the Shastras is Janma Jayate Shudra. जन्म से हर कोई लोएस्ट कैटेगरी का पर्सन होता है, उसके बाद उसको अपना क्वालिफिकेशन बिल्डअप करना पड़ेगा अपनी मेहनत से, अपनी चॉइसेस से. So I hope that answers the question. Good one. So let us go ahead. Now, yeah. Okay, one more question is there. What can one do to know his or her actual varna based on the Gita, so and then break this chain of birth-based caste system? So that will come in the 18th chapter. And again, another very good question, Ashwini. Which varna do we belong to? And then second, which ashrama, when we should accept which ashrama in our life? So this varna and ashram questions, one varna is discussed by Krishna, one after another, in clear-cut symptoms, very practical symptoms and indicators are there, which we can use, which will come in the 18th chapter. Okay. And spirituality is actually above the varna and ashram. Spirituality is above the varna and ashram means like you may be a painter, you may be a teacher, you may be a businessman, you may be a sweeper, whoever you may be. So varnashram just says like about your varna and ashram. It says about what activity you should do, what should be your dharma and all this thing. But spiritual life means whatever you are. Like Arjuna is Kshatriya by varna, and by ashrama he was a grahastha. But according to spiritual life, he was not a Kshatriya, he was not a Grahastha, he was a devotee, he was a Vaishnava. Okay, which means I don't have to bother whether I am a Brahmana or Kshatriya or Vaishya or Shudra or a Brahmachari or a Grahastha or Vanaprastha or Sannyasi. You know, it doesn't matter at all. What matters is whoever I am, wherever I am, I should serve Krishna. I should use my abilities, my resources, my time, my energy, my social position, my financial assets. I should use them as much as possible, my time, energy, everything in serving Krishna. Just like Arjuna. Arjuna had talent. Arjuna had his weapons, and there was his opportunity, and Krishna asked him to fight it out for him, and he did that. Okay, I hope that helps to understand the essence of Varnashram. At the same time, we will also discuss about the Varnayana ashramas as they come naturally in the course of the Gita. So the science of the karma, another thing is, so see, this one we saw, this is called Daivavad. Daivavad मतलब कुछ लोग बोलते हैं अरे कुछ करने से क्या फर्क पड़ता है, तुम कुछ करो या मत करो, तुम्हारा तो जीवन में जो होना है सब कुछ फिक्स्ड है. ऐसा नहीं है भैया, फिक्स्ड कुछ भी नहीं है, क्योंकि आपके पास चॉइसेस दी जाएंगी, और चॉइसेस आप जिस तरह से बना लेते हो चॉइस, उस हिसाब से आपका डेस्टिनेशन होगा. तो फिक्स्ड इज y1 to x1, y2 to x2, not x1 x2. Which choice will you take? x1 x2 x3 x4? That is not fixed, that is never fixed. Another is कर्मवाद. कर्मवाद मतलब some people say कि सब कुछ अपने हाथ में, I am a self-made man. कुछ लोग बोलते हैं अरे अपने हाथ में कुछ नहीं होता है, जो भी होता है ऊपर वाले के हाथ में होता है. कुछ लोग बोलते हैं सब कुछ अपने हाथ में होता है, ऊपर वाला है क्या देखा है किसी ने. एक्चुअली दोनों एक्सट्रीम्स रॉन्ग है. राइट अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज we have to do our endeavor, we have to do our karma, and then also there is no guarantee. But unless, if you do not do your karma, if you do not do your endeavor, then there is certain guarantee that nothing will happen, you know. Okay, but if you do your karma, then also we need God's blessing. For example, आप अगर एक स्टूडेंट हो, आप अच्छे से पढ़ रहे हो, क्या इसका गारंटी है कि आपके एग्जाम में मार्क्स बहुत आएंगे? या आप एक डॉक्टर हो, आपने पूरा प्रयास किया है पेशेंट को बचाने के लिए, यू आर अ डॉक्टर, यू आर अ सर्जन, यू ट्राइड योर बेस्ट टू सेव द पेशेंट्स लाइफ. इज इट श्योर दैट ही विल बी सेव्ड? और यू आर अ फार्मर and you have taken care of all the factors, putting this, plowing the field properly, you know, using the manure, using the pesticides, insecticides, using the right seeds, the organic farming way, you know, using doing it the right season, putting in the right amount of water, putting the fence and everything. So is it guaranteed that you will get a very good crop? In all these cases, whether you are a student or a doctor or a farmer, by your endeavor you cannot guarantee. But suppose you would not have done the endeavor. As a doctor, you don't do only, you say अरे पता guarantee तो है नहीं भैया, मैं whether I endeavor or not, there is no guarantee that you will be saved. So let me not endeavor. Oh, I am a student, anyway it's not sure, even if I work out my best, it's not sure if I'll score good marks, so anyway I'll not endeavor. No sir, if you do not endeavor, it is guaranteed that there will not be any result. But after endeavoring also, you have to know that now it is in God's hand, you know. If I deserve and if it is good for me, if it is according to my karma, God will give it, otherwise he may not give it. Therefore our happiness and satisfaction should lie in endeavoring and doing our duty. If we understand this thing about life, that if I don't get the right result after doing my sincere endeavor, then that is not my, I mean, that is not because of me. So if we know this clearly, we can always be happy that I did my endeavor. मैंने अपना धर्म निभाया. I did my duty. That is what Arjuna was supposed to do. That is what is called as nishkama. You know, understand that your endeavor is in our hand to make that choice, and then after that, result is in God. So do your best, leave the rest. What is the mantra of the Gita? Do your best, leave the rest. Okay. So we'll just finish in 5 to 10 minutes. So inaction, inaction. You know, this is very important to understand. What is the meaning of inaction, inaction? मतलब जब आप कुछ कर्म करते हो इस दुनिया में, उसका आपको कोई पाप और कोई पुण्य नहीं मिलेगा अगर आप उसको स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ में करते हो, जैसे दुर्योधन वाज फाइटिंग, ओके, so what was Duryodhan getting any reaction? Yes, Duryodhan was getting sinful reaction, okay. जैसे वो, you remember that soldier, he was killing his neighbor, so he got punishment. But when you act on behalf of the Lord, okay, you will never get papa or punya, you will get Lord's blessing, in fact. So there are three types of karmas, three types of activities. First type of activities is called karma. First type of activity is called karma. Second type of activity is called vikarma. And third type of activity is called akarma. I'll again repeat. First type of activity is called karma. Second type of activity is called vikarma. Third type of activity is called akarma. पहला जो एक्टिविटी है कर्मा, which means when you do those things, those activities, you get punya, you get positive material credits, pious credits. Second type of activity vikarma, when you do those activities, you get papa, some sinful activity. And third, akarma, when you do those activities, that is basically spiritual activities, then you get no reaction, akarma. So what is karma? Karma means like you help somebody out, or as a student you are doing your own best. आपने कभी notice किया है that if you are a student and if you study very nicely, very sincerely, you feel kind of satisfied, even if you get less marks. And if you are a student and you are not working hard, I remember in one of my semesters in my college, I didn't work hard in a particular semester, but somehow it so happened that whatever little bit I would cover. जैसे एक लैब था, बहुत मेजर लैब था हमारा, 8 credits का, and in that lab na, there were 8 experiments, huge ones actually. And I actually, honestly speaking, I didn't study that semester properly, and at the time of the end semester exam, like before that final lab, I just studied one out of those 8 uh, experiments actually. And I just gambled, like just one of them I studied, others I didn't have any idea, I'd forgotten. And I went for the lab exam, and interestingly I got that experiment only. Like there is a cheat system, so I got that experiment only, and I did it excellently. I topped it actually. Because that was my totally my case. But then, so I was thinking, I'm like, it's very nice, this and that, but actually inside my heart and after some time it was clearly evident to me, I was not feeling satisfied, because I had not endeavored, I didn't deserve it. So because of some of my karma, I got the marks, but I didn't get that knowledge, I didn't get that clarity, and I didn't feel that satisfaction in my heart. Similarly, say if I'm working in a software company, and if I'm doing kam chori, like I'm purposefully avoiding work and not working, but I'm taking the salary, I'm telling them that, see, I'll take the training with some extension period for 1 year, and actually my plan is that after 1 year I'll go away to do MBA or something. So if I don't do minimum amount of work also against the money which I'm accepting, there will be a kind of emptiness or a vacuum in my heart after some time, that I'll not feel so much satisfaction. Why? Because I have not done my dharma. I'm accepting the salary, but I'm not doing the dharma of doing my duty, which I was expected to do. Okay. Similarly, if I'm a child, if I'm a son or a daughter, then if I do not respect my parents, I'm disrespectful to them, I will not feel satisfaction. You know. Or if you're a rich person, Krishna has given you a lot, and you neglect the poor people, or you don't offer selfless contributions in some good initiatives like spiritual initiatives or social initiatives, then you will see that you will not feel that kind of satisfaction. But when you share your care, you will feel a kind of satisfaction which will come from that, because that is called a karma. See, karma means when you do a good activity materially. अंधे को सड़क क्रॉस करा दिया, वो बोलते हैं ना, किसी को भूखे को खाना खिला दिया, है ना, नंगे को कपड़ा पहना दिया, इस तरह से, लाइक ऑल दोस चैरिटेबल एक्टिविटीज, उससे आपको पुण्य मिलता है. और एक और चीज से पुण्य मिलता है, जब आप अपना ड्यूटी करते हो. तो कृष्ण ने अर्जुन को ये भी कहा था, अगर तुम फाइटिंग नहीं करोगे तो तुमको सेटिस्फेक्शन नहीं लगेगा अपने हार्ट में, कभी नहीं लगेगा. क्यों? क्योंकि अपना ड्यूटी से अलग हट जाना मतलब यू गेट सिन. And when you get sin, you feel miserable. Okay. And so this is like when you do karma, good activities, you get punya. आपका material life better होता है. When you do papa, when you do vikarma means like you kill someone, or you don't do your duty, or you create unnecessary obstacles for other person, you steal something, or all those things. So then you get papa means then you will experience reactions in your life, leading to misery. And akarma means like you do chanting of the Lord's names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Or you offer food to God and you eat that food. Or you serve Krishna in the temple. You offer some monetary contributions in the temple for spreading of the Gita, or for distribution of prasad, or whatever. So then you don't get anything, papa or punya, nothing you get. What do you get? You get Krishna's blessing. That is spiritual. When you get punya, you go to heavenly planets, and then when you take next birth in this world, you'll get birth in a better family. When you do papa, you go to narak, you suffer there, and when you come back to earth, you will get a birth like as a dog or cat or something, or as a very poor downtrodden family, something like that. And when you do spiritual activities, you do not take birth again in this world. You go back to the spiritual world, to God. So from the spiritual point of view, papa and punya are kind of two sides of the same coin. Because whether you do papa or punya, again you will have to take birth in the material world. So even if you're born as a very rich person, very pious person, still the pain of birth, old age, disease and death, those things will be there. So the idea is that best is that we don't do papa and punya both. But if there has to be choice, then definitely pap should not be done at all. And what we can do over our punya activities, like instead of giving food to a person, you give prasad. Basically externally it will be food only, but it will be spiritualized. So that will become a karma. You will get blessings materially also and spiritually also. So the whole idea is that the art of work is you always act on behalf of God. अगर आपसे गलती से कुछ गलत भी हो जाता है, पाप भी हो जाता है, तो उसका आपको रिएक्शन नहीं मिलेगा. जैसे आप चल रहे हो सड़क पर, या आप मंदिर में ही चल रहे हो कहीं पर भी, तो नीचे चींटियां कुछ हैं और आपका पैर वैर पड़ रहा है, चींटियां मर रही है. अगर वो भूल चूक से होता है, तो फिर आपको कोई रिएक्शन नहीं मिलेगा उसका, because because you're trying to act on behalf of God in your life. You're trying to follow the principles given by Him. So that is called akarma. Externally, akarma may look similar to karma, but then it is way different. It is way above it. So I hope it was like you were able to understand. So inaction in action means आप इस दुनिया में एक्टिविटी कर रहे हो, जैसे अर्जुन एक्टिविटी कर रहे हैं, लेकिन उनको कोई रिएक्शन नहीं मिलेगा, उनको वापस बर्थ नहीं लेना पड़ेगा, ना तो हायर बर्थ ना लोअर बर्थ. He will go highest, he will go to the spiritual world only, because he was acting on behalf of the Lord. Similarly, हम पढ़ते हैं, हम अपना जीवन जीते हैं, अपने परिवार को चलाते हैं, अपना जॉब बिजनेस जो भी करते हैं, हमको कृष्ण के लिए करना चाहिए. तो उससे, और हमको कृष्ण के नाम का जप करना चाहिए थोड़ी देर, जितने भी राउंड्स हम कर सकते हैं. So that will come in the 6th or chapter, in the 10th, 9th chapter, the meditation process will come. That time we'll learn about it. So the entire idea is that real perfection, real spiritual life, real knowledge means to see everything, every person and every situation in connection with Krishna, and in our own life to always act on behalf of Krishna. Okay. So now we are coming to the end of this chapter. So this is a lesson 4, last lesson, sacrifice. What should be our life? What should be? How should we practice spiritual life exactly, practically? So then there are many things taught in this chapter about this. I'm not going to cover all of them because we are just 10 seconds away from our time. So let me just take 2-3 minutes and cover it. So I'm not covering all this. You may read on your own from the 4th chapter later on. Basically, Krishna tells about many different types of sacrifices: demigod worship, Brahman worship, mind control, sense enjoyment, self control, and all these things. But these are not the topmost things. So he's not exactly recommending them, but he's telling all the options available. And then Krishna says that all the sinful reactions are destroyed. Yadnya shapita kalmasha. And without sacrifice, one can never live happily in this life. Which means, आप अगर भगवान से कनेक्ट नहीं हो रहे हो, भगवान के लिए एक्टिविटीज नहीं कर रहे हो, चैंटिंग भी नहीं कर रहे हो और कुछ यज्ञ वगैरह भी नहीं कर रहे हो, टेम्पल में वर्शिप भी नहीं कर रहे हो, तो यू विल डेफिनेटली फील like dissatisfied in this life, you know. So now what to, it's like not paying tax to the government, so you'll always feel a kind of अरे मुझे टैक्स वाले आके पकड़ नहीं ले, and there will be issues always, right? So so then he says, this is the most important verse of the entire chapter, 34th verse, that what should one do finally in one's life, you know. So तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिना. That approach a spiritual master, a guru, a guide, a spiritual guide, and surrender unto him, which means, okay, I want to learn from you. Then make inquiries. Okay, I have this question. What should I do in my life regarding this? How should I balance this? How should I prioritize this? Why does this happen in life? Why is this happening in the world? So try to learn all these things. Who am I? You know, what are the different forms of life? What is the meaning of a ghost? You know, what is heavenly planet? What is Narak, hellish planet? And what is this going back to spiritual world and this and that? And do service to spiritual master. So what is the vidhi? Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Pranipatena surrender, pariprashnena inquiry, humble inquiry, and sevaya, which means to render selfless service. ऐसा करने से आप अपने स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर का ब्लेसिंग पाते हो और फिर उन स्पिरिचुअल गाइड से सब कुछ सीख कर फिर आप भी तत्व दर्शन कर पाते हो. मतलब यू ऑल्सो कैन एक्सपीरियंस गॉड एंड द स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ. ओके, so to have a guide in our life is at most important. We had discussed about this in the second chapter last weekend, you might remember. And like this, Krishna says ahead that this will make sure that you will, all your previous sins also will be destroyed if you will act as per the instructions and guidance given by the right spiritual guide who is coming in parampara. And Krishna says this is the purest path in that way. And yeah, so I think this. So again, Krishna is telling Arjuna that the knowledge is the culmination of all knowledge is to act on behalf of God. God is telling us something that we should be willing to do for His pleasure, and in that way we'll become free from all sinful reactions. That karma, vikarma, karma. So we'll be in this world, we'll be appearing as to be another person in this world, but actually we'll not be getting any reactions in this world. Wherever we are, India, America, doing this thing, that thing, because we'll be doing a karma, acting on behalf of the Lord. And in that way, all our previous sinful reactions also will be taken care. So how do we surrender to Krishna? How do we get that jnana? How do we apply that jnana? So on behalf of Krishna, I mean, as a representative of Krishna, we take shelter of some devotee of the Lord, some good devotee of the Lord coming in parampara. We take guidance, get education, shiksha from him, and we pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. We humbly surrender, we make humble inquiry, and we render selfless service. In that way, very soon we will also have realizations of Krishna and will be able to see this world with the right eyes. Tattva Darshana. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Once again, we have just finished just 3-4 minutes ahead of time, so we'll not be able to take questions. I do not want to end that sequence of not going overboard on time. So, but I do await that devotees can share their questions and inquiries, whatever they have, on mail or WhatsApp or through some channel, and then we can take that personally or in the next session. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Shri Radha Gopal ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.